St. John Bosco has been a personal saint for me that I've prayed to and read his writings extensively over the years. He was born in Turin, Italy, in the Archdiocese of Turin in 1815. His father died when he was just 2 years old, and his mother, Margaret, raised him, and she taught him the Christian faith and the humanities. He wanted to become a priest from his youngest years, and due to a wealthy friend of his mother, he was able to enter the seminary and study for the priesthood. And I think he was ordained in 1846. John Bosco had a lot of dreams when he was young, especially about taking care of young people. It was a time in Italy where the Industrial Revolution had just begun, and many youths left their farms and came into the cities looking for work, but there was none. And so these young boys especially would get together, and they became like gangs because they huddled together. They were homeless, and John Bosco saw the need for bringing them together. He saw that they were children of God and that they needed help. There was a school for girls, but there was no school for boys. And so he started teaching some of them. And he began as a leader and as a teacher, he was so excellent. And his theory was the preventive system of education, that if you gather these young boys together and you spend time with them and get to know them, if you play with them and you enjoy life with them, then they will listen to you when you want to teach them about God and about other things. He called it the preventive system of education. Reason, religion, and kindness were the hallmarks of his teaching. His greatest personal value was fatherhood. He saw the great fatherhood of God, and in looking at the young, he saw them as children of God, and he wanted to be a father to them. And his success was really great. His mother, Margaret, one day he brought 400 kids home for lunch to his mother. And of course, she reached out and did the best that she could. John Bosco had great devotion to Our Lady Help of Christians, and he would always pray to her when he needed something. And it would always happen. He would just pray for what he needed. He founded an oratory under the patronage of St. Francis de Sales. Eventually, he formed a society which would become the Salesian Order of Priests, who have been working with the young for years, for a whole century now. But St. John Bosco started teaching these young boys trades, shoemakers and tailors and different trades, and they huddled around him as their father. And it was just a beautiful thing. And he taught them that, God had to be the center of their life. And they came to understand that in a very wonderful way, that if God's the center, if we keep away from sin, if we receive the sacraments, he really inculcated a spiritual life in these young boys. I know my ministry to youth for many years before I became a pastor, that system really worked so well. I think I took about 17,000 youth on retreats to Camp Christopher years ago, and I found his system to be so good that if I could sit around a campfire, I could hike with them in the woods, I could do all kinds of things, and because you were with them, they would listen, and they would accept the values and teachings that I was trying to get across to them. So his system was just so wonderful, and I just admire St. John Bosco. He was a diocesan priest, just like I am, and one truly to imitate. He took Jesus' gospel to heart, that whoever takes care of a child in his name receives him. And so he saw taking care of all of these young boys and girls, that he was doing it for Christ. And I think it's a good lesson for us too, that children are our greatest resource and our young people, and the more we can foster their goodness, the happier their lives will be, and so will society. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.